this is exercise 1, 3-team keep ball. So the game relation to this exercise is counter pressing. So basically, when we're attacking the opposition's half, as soon as we lose possession, we want us to go from attacking to defending, and we really want us to press the opposition as quickly as possible. So as soon as they regain possession, they've got the ball, we're pressing them really hard, trying to win the ball back, or forcing them to go long straight back to our possession. So that's the aim of it, and by doing that, we can really stop the opposition counter-attacking us and taking the time to build up play. So it's really good to win the ball, especially as well, closer to their goal. So it makes it mean that if we win the ball back, we're more likely to score. And the opposition are going to be in some awful positions really, because again, they're not going to be expecting it. And as soon as they win back possession, they're looking to break. So they'd have to transition from defending to attacking, back to defending. And as we know, transitioning in general is hard enough. So to force them to do it twice in a row, it's just going to be so difficult for them to do. And it's not really something they can, you can't plan for it, you can't train this aspect of the game. This will just go off natural ability and just awareness of the individual players. So it's a really good one to get the team moving in. The only sort of negative from it is you're going to need really fit players to do it, or players that can conserve energy for the right times, because it's going to be a lot of running for them to do, a lot of short, sharp sprints. So need to make sure the right fitness training is set up in order to enable the players to be able to do this. But yeah, this is the main points of it. The size of the pitch on this one isn't as relevant. With 3 people in it, it would probably be a bit smaller than what I've shown here on the pitch. So it's probably more likely would be maybe the side of one goal here to this corner. So probably a smaller box like that, but this can change dependent on player level, the standard of the players, and also the number of players in there, and also what you're trying to get from it. If you are starting off this exercise, you're going to want it a bit bigger, so the intensity isn't going to be as high, whereas if you introduce this too early, players could get injured. So yeah, it's better to keep it relatively, I'd probably say, bigger to start off with, so it's more of a jog, sprint, probably a 75% pace for the players in the middle. That's the way that we'd look at it. But then also, if it's smaller, it's going to be shorter, sharper sprints, but over obviously a smaller distance. So totally up to the managers to just adjust this as they need to for their team. So let's play this along and we'll see how it goes. So the player is just playing it around. Here's a team working as a nice group and forcing the player out. So that's a really good example of the team in the middle working together really well, and they're following the runs together. I'll just bring this back, because what you want is the communication within the team in the middle to be really good. They're all pressing at the same time and they're working as a group. Because if you're working individually or somebody isn't pulling their weight, as I'll show you later on in the video, it just doesn't work. There's too much space. So here we go, transitioning over all together, blocking off the routes. There's no in-between passes, perfect. So now here we go. Here we can see, I'll highlight number 3. So here, I'll bring it back slightly. We'll see that number 3 will be letting the team down. We'll see that he's not working quite hard enough, and how this affects the other 2. So this is important for the coach to really get involved and make sure that the third player, or sorry, any of the middle 3, and all of them, if maybe they're not all working together or hard enough, is to really emphasise this. And you'll be able to tell by the way the training's going if the intensity is low, and it will be a result that players aren't working hard enough. If the intensity is really high, going really fast, then it means the players are working hard and they're really getting something from this. So it's down to the coach to really push this for the defenders and the attackers, because if the attackers aren't moving the ball quick enough, the whole training is just going to be it's going to be pointless really. They're not going to get much from it apart from a few touches on the ball in a normal session. But what we're really trying to do with these ones is hone in on these skills and build the players' awareness and their footballing IQ. So I'll play this along. Here we go. You see that 3 is just sort of following the ball, not working as hard as the other 2 players, and it's just not working. So look, he's just not working hard enough, too many gaps. It doesn't matter how hard these 2 players work, they're not getting the ball. So now he's starting to work a bit harder, and as a 3, they've closed off the gaps, and it works really well. So that's the important of it, to make sure the teams are working together. So that is the end of exercise 1. This is exercise 2, counter press game scenario. So I'll go through the rules first. So it's the green team that are attacking the goal. These will involve the attacking players of the team, and then the red team and the defenders. So this will include obviously the goalkeeper, and the other 3 players will ideally be defenders. This is because we want this to be a game scenario, so realistically your attackers and your midfielders are going to be the ones counter pressing, because when you're attacking, obviously you're attacking with those players. Obviously you could do the fullbacks possibly, but most likely it's going to be the attackers, so we'll focus on them. And then also it's your defenders that are most likely going to be defending or trying to play through the counter press of the opposition, if they're able to do that, because even if you don't train it, this will happen to a degree anyway. This is a natural part of football. If you train it, obviously you can become a lot better at it, a lot slicker at it, but this happens anyway. So it's good for our defenders to have to deal with that. So it's perfect for both scenarios. So the rules are, the green team must make 3 passes before shooting. The second rule is the red team goalkeeper cannot pass to the end player, which is number 5. I've put coach in brackets because ideally you want the coach involved so they can really look at the game and see how it's progressing, and from that point of view all they're doing is receiving a pass, so they're going to be able to be thinking about the game and what the individual players are doing and how it can be improved, or what they're doing well. So it's perfect to get them involved in that scenario, and it also frees up another player so that you can have 2 groups doing this. So you do 4v4 here, have another group of 4v4, and you get the whole team involved, rather than having maybe a few players sat out, which obviously you don't want. The third rule is, after the green team have counter pressed, they will restart again from the attacking position, where the balls are next to the coach or the red player, number 5. So yeah, those are the rules, and we'll play this along and just show you how it all develops. So number 8, pass into one of the players. He will just play as normal. Obviously they'll be moving about. This part is important because if you want the players to build up through the attack, so it's a bit of attacking build up play as well, which is obviously important that you want. But it's obviously the transitions, the reacting, making sure the counter press is done effectively. So there we go. Number 8 gets a shot off and he goes to the goalkeeper. So now you can see the red team, they've split out, trying to get hold of the ball. This is realistic to a game situation, because if you won the ball back, the opposition team are going to want to get on the ball quick and counter attack you. So here we can see they've spread out, got a little bit of space, and now what we want is our players to really push the pressure and put a lot of pressure on them. So it's crucial. Here we can see all the players going towards them. This is perfect at the moment, blocking off the passing routes so they can go long. In this scenario, they could go long and it would be successful for them. However, in a game scenario, if this did happen and they went long, we would be happy with that, because our defenders would be pushed on to the attackers, using a long ball up the field, and with a little bit of pressure, we would expect our defenders to clear that up, which is ideally what we want, opposed to them having time on the ball to pick a pass and attack us that way, which would be a lot more dangerous. Also, it's good to notice number 10. So you may have players that are counter pressing the ball, which is crucial. It's also really important that players are switched on. They can see that number 4 was breaking, 10 must be switched on, and he must be aware that he must follow that run. It's crucial to counter press, of course. However, you can't go too far the other way. Players must have that awareness, and it's really important to, if a coach sees this in the training, to really pick up on it and say, number 10 has done a great thing here and followed his man. Because technically he may have thought, oh, I'll just go to the keeper, that's the easy option, I'll counter press. But no, that is perfect, it's exactly what you want. And if you see a player doing that, really praise them, make the others aware of it. If you see it not happening, don't single out the player, but just make them aware that this is something that they need to be aware of, they need to do in the games when they see it in a game scenario. In training first, obviously now, pick them up and make sure they're doing it, and then it will translate to the games. So we'll play this a little bit further, and you can see plenty of pressure on the ball, not a chance. 11 comes in and wins the ball. So now we revert back. That's phase 1, well the whole phase of the first one done, and now you go to the next ball. I didn't mention this earlier, but ideally what you'd want here is points. A point system would be perfect, because then the players are playing for something like it is in a game. You're playing to win. Players want to win this. So for the green team, they're attacking. We actually wouldn't give them any points for scoring, although you could. It's one of those things, we're not trying to focus on that, so that's why ideally I wouldn't give them points for it. So great if they score, really give them praise for it, but don't give them points, in my opinion, for this one. If you want to change it and adjust it and give them points for it, perfect, more than happy. Do whatever you feel is necessary for your players to get the best from this. So what I would give them a point for is a successful counter press. So this would be what we've just seen here. Number 2 trying to play into 5 and the green team winning the ball. So that's perfect. So we give the green team a point for that. On the flip side, the red team would score a point if number 2 was able to make that pass into number 5 or any other player, obviously except for the goalkeeper. So if they can make that the pass into number 5, perfect. Number 5 can move up and down the side, so they don't just have to make straight into there. Can make a line ball, pass it down, that's perfect, because that was obviously game realistic. Right, we'll play a little bit further on. So number 8 starts again as normal, showing to number 9, flicks the ball round. Number 2's covering well, perfect. That's could happen in the game very easily. The ball obviously in the game is going to get lost plenty of times, so that is very game realistic. And then as we see, we'll let it go to the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper gets the ball. We're counter pressing. 8's going on 3. 10 on 4. Perfect there. Let's play a little bit further and we'll see. This is a scenario that's really important. If you see this happen in the game, in the training, sorry, it's really important to pick up on it. So 2 players have been drawn to the ball. They're both counter pressing. They're both doing the right thing. But these are the things that you'll only learn when you start doing it in training and then perfecting it. So you'll see here the communication between the 2 players hasn't gone on, or number 8 or number 10 telling the 2 players that somebody needs to get number 2. So they're both focused on pressing the goalkeeper, and as it plays out, there's space down the right hand side. Number 2 gets it. 9 and 11 completely out of position now, and it was actually a 3v2 in the Reds' favour. So it's something really important to pick up on, as if players are able to communicate effectively and do 1v1s all over the pitch, the counter press is going to be perfect. Obviously in certain areas we do want to do overloads, however ideally it's 1v1. That's how you're going to make sure there's no spare players on the opposition able to get that ball. Here are the key points on counter press. So the first one is transition. So I've spoken about this in previous videos, but the crucial bit of this training session and for coaches to get across to the players is transitioning from attack to defence. It's a perfect scenario because players they're looking to score, they're wanting to score, and then as soon as they've shot, it's really important the time between when they shoot or when the attack finishes and then when the counter press starts. That's what you're trying to minimise. So by doing this, you're trying to minimise that amount of time, because the shorter that time is, the quicker they'll start moving towards the player they need to. They'll make that right decision. So it's basically the time that it takes for them to make the right decision, and that's what this does. And the way to enhance that is for the coach to give them more and more information about where they're going right, and just pick up on those small little bits where they're going wrong. So that's the perfect scenario from this. So number 2 is movement to the ball. So this is that second point. And when moving to the ball, the lines you're trying to block off, the lines to the forward players. You're trying to push them into a certain area, so it's difficult for them to play out from. And then ideally you're going to win back possession by doing that. So it's crucial, the movement towards the ball and forcing them into a scenario they ideally don't want to go into, and for them to either hit the ball long or for us to win the ball back. And then the third and final point is communication. So this is crucial between those counter-pressing players. It can also come from the other players that aren't counter-pressing to give them advice, but it needs to come from that team. They need to do it together. It needs to be short, sharp communication. This, I believe, is something that does need work, and I'll produce another video on this because it is not as easy as you would think it is just to talk. Throughout my whole career as a footballer, I've heard this all the time, but it's so much more difficult to put into practice. So communication between the players, doing exercises, different exercises that creates communication, where they have to talk. The more you do this, the better it'll get, the more natural it'll become. So that was the final point. Thanks again for watching another video on the Big Footballer's Brain. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and please stay tuned for more videos on similar topics.